I want to give credit to Emmanuel Acho. He and I have a lot of different opinions on sports, as anyone who is a sports fan should. But I thought that Acho had a really good take on Angel Reese. You know what he did? He gave his opinion on Angel Reese, and he specifically said, I'm leaving gender and her race out of the equation, and he just analyzed her as an individual. And I watched it, and I said, you know what's so great about this? This is how all of the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s were before social media took over the discussions that we have in the world of sports. What do I mean by that? I mean that all that mattered was you. We judged your performance in sports. We didn't ask, what's your race? We didn't ask, what's your religion? We didn't ask, what's your gender? We just looked at you on the field or on the court and said, man, is this guy or this gal as good as they can be? Do we believe that they're performing at the absolute apex level? And this is the way that I believe sports should be viewed, because it brings everybody together. Sports is the antithesis of identity politics, should be, because the only thing that matters is the best man or woman, period. And sports has heroes or villains, but the heroes and the villains are typically not reflected based on the race and the gender of the athlete. For instance, look at men's college basketball right now. I would submit to you that on one side of the bracket, NC State versus Purdue, NC State is the heroic Cinderella and Purdue is the villain. Because I think most people see Zach Edey, who is the star of Purdue, and he happens to be half white and half Asian, as the villain of the NCAA tournament now. And I think most people see NC State, DJ Burns, as the hero. DJ Burns happens to be a black guy, chubby, that a lot of people would prefer play tackle, but he plays in the NFL. But he plays with an exuberance and a joyfulness that many of us find captivating. Whereas Zach Edey, I don't know that I've ever seen him smile. And back in the day, you had Jordan against Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing, not anywhere near as likable, glowering, big, physically dominant center that not a lot of people connected to. Jordan, exuberant, seemed more down to life size, people connected with, right? That's how sports. It doesn't matter about your race or your gender. It's excellence or your exuberance that you put forward onto the court that oftentimes dictates who we like. It's not about identity politics. That's the best thing about sports. I just gave you an example. DJ Burns against Zach Edey, right? Half white, half Asian, black guy. Black guy's way more popular because he happens to be chubby. I think if DJ Burns were a chubby white guy and had the exact same persona, I think he would be exactly as popular. Because I don't think most sports fans decide who they root for based on anything other than what they get from somebody on the court or their overall personality at large. I like villains. Some would say that I am a villain. Some would say that I'm an antagonist, that there are protagonists you might like more. Every great story has a protagonist and an antagonist. That is the conflict. In the wake of her victory last year, when Angel Reese beat Caitlin Clark in Iowa and LSU won the championship, Angel Reese ran around doing the "you can't see me," pointing to her ring finger right in Caitlin Clark's face. That made her a villain. It made her a gloating, in the eyes of many, a gloating showboat. And many people debated whether it was acceptable or appropriate. Angel Reese lived in that villainy. She certainly made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of all of the attention. She may well have made millions of dollars based on all that attention. But then as soon as she lost, and make note, by the way, Caitlin Clark didn't do the "you can't see me." She didn't point to her ring finger. She didn't wave goodbye. She didn't taunt Angel Reese at all. What did Angel Reese want to become as soon as she got to the post-game press conference? She wanted to be a victim. And this is where I give credit to Acho on FS1 for calling this out. He said, villains don't get to be victims. When Thanos snapped his fingers and eliminated half of all life, spoiler alert, in the Avengers franchise, Thanos then didn't have a press conference and say, you know what happened? People really didn't like me. They sent me death threats. They made really mean memes that sexualized me. If you're the villain, people are going to be mean to you. And let me just say this. Nobody has a great deal of sympathy for the villain. You got to own it. I don't remember Reggie Miller back in the day sitting down at a press conference and saying that people were too mean to him. Okay? You can't be the villain and the victim. Those two roles don't go together. And I love villains. I loved Reggie Miller back in the day. I think one of the problems with sports today is because of social media, so few people are willing to be the villain because people say mean things to them online. And I got to say, online is toxic. I don't want my kids on social media. We didn't allow and don't allow our kids to get a phone for the first time until they're 14. And then in our house, we're trying to set the standard. The kids are smarter than we are. That you don't get to have a social media account until you're 16 years old. I don't know if we're going to be able to hold steadfast to that, but I think that social media is toxic for many people. And I don't think that you can claim, oh, people are super mean to me online, because there's also a lot of positivity out there. And it's also all fake. Like, I don't care. Like, the reason why I built OutKick into the brand it is, and the reason why Crockett Coffee did over $20,000 in sales is in the first day, is because people like or dislike me. And sometimes they might say mean things to me. I get it. It doesn't really, I don't think, impact me. You can say, like, I'm a little bit strange in that respect. I tend to remember the nice things and immediately forget the mean things. But you can't be a villain. You cannot be a villain for purposes of social media and your public persona in general, and then lose and claim, oh, I'm the victim. I think that Angel Reese will come to understand that. But I thought it was a great post, a great take by Acho.